Is the US a democracy or a plutocracy? So I read this article from CIRSD and I wanted to see what you thought. It stands for the Center for International Relations and Sustainable Development, and its mission is to provide high-quality independent analysis and offer innovative practical recommendations. And so it's nonpartisan. The article is Democracy or Plutocracy, America's Existential Question. And I'm going to read some of it. So, what is the actual difference between a democracy and a plutocracy? In a democracy, the masses broadly determine their future, equally, critically, in terms of the economy, society, and political system. There is a level playing field where the working classes, middle classes, and affluent elites compete. The term level playing field is absolutely critical here. Many Americans believe that their economic and political systems create a level playing field in which the poor and disadvantaged can rise to the top. This is also why there's no social resentment of billionaires in America. I think people are waking up now. I think this was written in 2020. Anyway, people are waking up. Most Americans believe they have an equal opportunity to become billionaires. So the first big question we need to address is this: is there a level playing field for the poor and rich? The honest answer is no. Today, when working class or even middle class Americans have to compete with the affluent elites, they are not competing on a level playing field. They have to run uphill to score goals. By contrast, the affluent elites run downhill as the playing field is tilted in their favor. In June 2019, the Financial Times showed a study that an 8th grade child from lower income bracket who achieves math results in the top quarter is less likely to graduate than a kid in the upper income bracket scored in the bottom quarter. This is the reverse of how meritocracy should work. A successful society is a progress machine. It takes in the raw material of innovations and produces broad human advancement. America's machine is broken. When the fruits of change have fallen on the United States in recent decades, the very fortunate have basketed almost all of them. For instance, the average pre-tax income of the top 10th of Americans has doubled since 1980. That of the top 1% has more than tripled, and that of the top 0.001% has risen more than sevenfold, even as the average pre-tax income of the bottom half of Americans has stayed almost precisely the same. These familiar figures amount to 3.5 decades worth of wondrous head-spinning changes with zero impact on the average pay of 117 million Americans. Thus, many millions of Americans on the left and right feel one thing in common: that the game is rigged against people like them. There's a spreading recognition on both sides of the ideological divide that the system is broken, that the system has to change. The main obstacle to change is a myth. An example from history will help. For centuries, European serfs accepted a feudal system in which they were second-class citizens, if not slaves. In a system dominated by feudal lords, why didn't the majority of serfs overthrow the minority of feudal lords? A huge myth was created to generate a belief that the system was just. The kind and gentle feudal lords reinforced the myth. At the risk of quoting a politically controversial philosophical concept, let me mention a term used for this phenomenon: false consciousness. How did this happen? How did America, which on the surface still functions as a democracy, become a plutocracy, which takes care of the interest of the 1%? There was one great American who anticipated the effective hijacking of the American democratic system by the very affluent. He is America's greatest political philosopher of recent times, John Rawls. Rawls warned that if those who have a greater private means are permitted to use their advantages to control the course of public debate, this would be the corrupting result. Eventually, these inequalities will enable those better situated to exercise a larger influence over the development of legislation. In due time, they are likely to acquire a preponderant weight in settling social questions, at least in regard to those matters upon which they normally agree, which is to say, in regard to those things that support their favored circumstances. This is precisely what happened over the past few decades. The affluent have gained preponderant weight in regard to those things that support their favored circumstances. There has been a relative transfer of wealth and political power from the vast majority of America's population to a privileged super minority. Americans do enjoy many features central to democratic governance, such as regular elections, freedom of speech and association, and a widespread, if still contested, franchise. But we believe that if policymaking is dominated by powerful business organizations and a small number of affluent Americans, then America's claims to being a democratic society are seriously threatened. In the past, the broad middle class of America had a strong say in determining the fundamental direction of American society. Today, they no longer do. The decisions of the U.S. Congress are not determined by the voters, they are determined by the funders. As a result, America is becoming functionally less and less of a democracy, where all citizens have an equal voice. Instead, it looks more and more like a plutocracy, where a few rich people are disproportionately powerful. That's the end of that article. Now I want you to check out this Track APAC app or website, wherever you're using it. It lets you know how much money people are taking, and I'm going to share that right now. And if you're not sure what APAC is, it gives financial support to political candidates that focus on pro-Israel relations and pro-Israel policies. Now I'm going to show a list of probably people that you don't even know because they don't have a lot of money because they don't take it from APAC. So what do you think? Is the U.S. a democracy or a plutocracy?